Florida is America's vacation land. Countless millions of Americans visit the state each year to see its wonders, bask in its year-round climate, stand in awe of its beauty and wildlife, and enjoy the seemingly endless attractions and activities of incredible Florida. In southern Florida lies the mysterious and primeval Everglades National Park. The cool, early morning mist smothers the ponds, obscures the trees, and adds a certain serenity to this strange ecological world. The park is known for its variety of nearly 300 kinds of land and water birds and more than 600 species of fish. It is one of the few sanctuaries for the rare American crocodile and the endangered manatee. Sea turtles, snakes, and the ever-present alligator are common here. Animal and insect life of infinite variety are everywhere. A striking visitor center greets new arrivals at the traditional north entrance. Here you can talk to rangers, plan your visit, and familiarize yourself with the park wildlife and ecosystems. After entering the park, the visitor arrives at Royal Palms. Here, the famed Anhinga Trail is named for the native bird of the park. After foraging in the water, it has to hang out its wings to dry. An alligator may pop up just about anywhere. The trail has a raised boardwalk which circles over the sawgrass marshland. From it, the visitor can more safely observe the most intimate details of the life that dwells in the ponds and the grasslands. Pinelands are representative of the slash pine forests that once covered an extensive area of southern Florida. Pineland Trail provides the visitor with a close-up encounter with these trees and the wide variety of unusual plant and animal life. "12 miles after entering the park, you will discover the Pahokee Trail with its rustic boardwalk and tower. From the tower, you can obtain a panoramic view of the true Everglades, a horizon-wide expanse of sawgrass marsh dotted with tree islands. Fire plays an important role in the ecology of the park. Burns in the slash pines and other areas help to perpetuate the trees, which otherwise would be overwhelmed by other plant species. At Mahogany Hammock, you will find the largest mahogany tree in the United States. In the lower and wetter areas, the Park Service conducts absorbing guided tours into cypress domes, which are circular formations of cypress trees. These tours enable the more venturesome visitor to observe the animal life of the Everglades close up, and during the dry season, visit a real alligator hole. Alligators are the most important inhabitants of the park and are often referred to as the keepers of the Everglades. They keep these water holes open upon which all life depends during the dry season. Nearing Florida Bay, Westlake offers a self-guided boardwalk tour of the brackish waters of a distinctive mangrove swamp. These durable trees help anchor Florida's hurricane-ravaged shoreline. Mrazek, Coot Bay, and Eco Ponds offer your best opportunity to enjoy the park's most popular pastime, bird watching. And of course, you'll see our old friend the alligator, too. Literally hundreds of birds fly in to feed here. You'll see egrets, herons, wood storks, the beautiful roseate spoonbill, and other aquatic birds. "38 miles after entering the park, the road ends at what originally was the small fishing village of Flamingo. Today, it is the hub for park activities, offering a fine marina, visitor center, and many other excellent facilities operated by TW Recreational Services. Ranger-guided canoe tours are a favorite pastime on Florida Bay. Another popular pastime that is both fun and educational is mud raking. Up to their knees in water and using nets, people find all sorts of interesting critters, including these little fellers, hermit crabs. Several tour boats operate from Flamingo. One, the Bald Eagle, enables the visitor to have an unforgettable tour of sparkling Florida Bay. The other, the 40-foot Pelican, guides you through the backcountry waterways of the Everglades. In the far northern portion of the Everglades is Shark Valley, reached by US 41. Tram tours allow you to enjoy wildlife and scenery. A stop is made at the observation tower, where the visitor can enjoy an unrestricted view of this vast area. The Big Cypress National Swamp, adjacent to the Everglades, encompasses 2,400 square miles of South Florida. Uniquely adapted plant and animal life is found in this vast expanse of marshes, sandy islands, and forests, including some 600 to 700-year-old giant bald cypresses. This perky little fellow is a river otter. Biscayne is one of our nation's most unusual national parks. The Island Visitor Center is located at Elliott Key Harbor on Elliott Key. Free boat docks are available along with other public facilities. Biscayne is composed of 4 distinct ecological systems: shallow Biscayne Bay, the undeveloped Upper Keys, living coral reefs, and a mature mangrove forest. The park is primarily an undeveloped watery wilderness, a mecca for water sports such as snorkeling, boating, fishing, and diving. A variety of boat trips are offered departing from the Convoy Visitor Center on the mainland. A glass-bottom boat trip leaves from the mainland and gives visitors exciting views of underwater coral reefs, laced with sea and plant life and divers. Moving northward, Boca Chica Key displays an ornamental lighthouse. There's even an old cannon and a chapel constructed of coral. The endangered manatee is found here and in many other areas of Florida's waterways. South of Biscayne lies 150 square miles of another underwater wonderland, John Pennycamp Coral Reef State Park and Key Largo National Marine Sanctuary. Florida has always been America's underwater playground. Its 1,300 miles of coastline, crystal clear warm waters, and the enchanting beauty of its coral reefs have combined to create a natural phenomenon that draws thousands of recreational divers to the area each year. This Florida Reef Tract is the largest coral reef system of the North American continent. At Pennycamp Park, a remarkable 11-foot tall bronze statue of Christ rises from the sandy ocean floor, creating a dramatic setting for what is truly a divine sanctuary. Contrary to popular belief, the moray eel is not a vicious killer, but is rather a very curious, sometimes friendly creature, as this diver is experiencing here at Pennycamp. The storm-swept waters and expansive underwater reefs have claimed an incredible number of ships over the centuries. Large and small, famous and obscure, worthless and worth hundreds of millions of dollars, they are all here. The result is a mecca for the recreational diver, who thrills at the sight of the remains of an ancient Spanish galleon, or the diver who is hoping to make that one big discovery. Florida's famed overseas highway stretches 135 miles from Key Largo to Key West. Key West is the southernmost city in the continental United States. There is no better way to see this historic and picturesque city than the famous conch tour train. Ship's carpenters have built many of the older houses here using wooden pegs. Some are over 150 years old. One of your stops is at the famous Sloppy Joe's Bar. The Audubon House is where John James Audubon created so many of his distinguished paintings of Florida birds. A trip down Duval Street will give you a gratifying look at its renowned restoration and intriguing old architecture. Shops in Mallory Square and Duval Street are rustic and charming. This is the southernmost point in the United States. Cuba lies a mere 90 miles from Key West. The old lighthouse still stands where it was constructed in 1847. "70 miles west of Key West lies the 7 coral reefs called the Dry Tortugas. Their central feature is Fort Jefferson, from which the national monument derives its name. This was the largest of all the 19th century American coastal forts. The islands are accessible mainly by boat. The fort is staffed by National Park Service personnel, and self-guided tours enable the visitor to rediscover a turbulent period in American history. Its walls are 8 feet thick and 50 feet high. It was designed for 450 guns and could garrison 1,500 men. Construction was begun in 1846, and although it was not completed by the Civil War, federal troops still occupied it. Ponce de Leon discovered the islands in 1513. At Miami's Monkey Jungle, the monkeys run loose and the people are caged. This unique approach has created an exciting concept in the research and observation of man's closest relative. Monkey Jungle has even created their own 10-acre tropical rainforest that provides the South American animals with a natural living environment. A stroll through this tropical jungle will enable you to see a wide variety of primates, including the extremely rare golden lion marmoset, gibbons, chimpanzees, baboons, gorillas, orangutan, and many others. A trained chimp show is featured to the special delight of children. At the swimming pool, monkeys cavort in a delightful manner. A visit here gives you an opportunity to observe fascinating primate behavior in a natural setting. Parrot Jungle is a subtropical forest of great natural beauty, with huge cypress trees and oaks loaded with flowering plants, through which macaws fly free, yet come to your arms for seeds or to pose for pictures. Nature displays her plants and creatures here in a dazzling and exciting manner. The visitors enjoy the beauty of countless orchids and bromeliads, the incredible beauty of the peacocks is stunning. Over 100 graceful pink flamingos will captivate you at beautifully landscaped Flamingo Lake. Colorful macaws and cockatoos perform in the Parrot Bowl with such acts as bike riding, roller skating, and all sorts of fascinating activities. In the south portion of Miami lies Vizcaya, America's great palace and an eminent work of architecture. It is located on lovely Biscayne Bay and is often referred to as the finest private house ever built in America. Its great gardens, with their grottos, pools, fountains, and sculptures, are unmatched in the Western Hemisphere, and they are unique in the world. It is a mansion of startling grandeur built by industrialist James Deering in 1916. Vizcaya is now a museum of the European arts. To visit and enjoy the Renaissance-style villa is to step into the world of the glorious past. A tour of Vizcaya with its great architecture, astonishing furnishings, and great gardens is an experience never to be forgotten. The southern section of the Gold Coast includes Fort Lauderdale, Miami Beach, and Miami. Miami is the state's great metropolis. The lure of luxury and sun here attracts millions of pleasure seekers each year. Its towering skyscrapers and modern skyline contrast sharply with the flat Florida countryside. Miami's amazing cageless Metro Zoo is truly unusual. The spacious exhibits cover the continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Surrounded by moats, the animals roam free while spectators safely watch from nearby pathways. Luxury and grandeur are the hallmark of Miami Beach. Renowned throughout the world for its famous array of mammoth hotels, it has all the flavor of Broadway showmanship. Fully 1/4 of all the hotel rooms in Florida are here. Its golden, sparkling, palm-lined beaches and endless recreational activities offer an irresistible lure. For beach fun, no place can offer more. The Miami Seaquarium is a 60-acre aquatic park and another of Miami's major attractions. It features Lolita, the 4-ton killer whale, sea lions in the Golden Aquadome, and the Top Deck Show, where highly trained dolphins and aquamaids perform acrobatic displays for delighted audiences. In the northern portion of Miami is the fascinating ancient Spanish monastery. Constructed originally in Spain in the 12th century, it was occupied by Cistercian monks. Shipped to the United States in 1925, it was reconstructed here in 1964. Within, there are numerous ancient artworks and paintings. Things to see and do seem endless in Miami. Planet Ocean is a fascinating educational ocean science center which is headquarters for the International Oceanographic Foundation. The history and composition of the world's oceans are explained in several theaters. Numerous exhibits present to the visitor a unique approach to better understanding the oceans of our Earth and the vital part that they play in the survival of our planet. Ocean currents are explained. You may touch an iceberg, dock an oil tanker, and so much more. The high point may well be when the visitor walks through an indoor cloud and into a full-blown hurricane. Leaving Miami, we cross the state to the beaches of southwest Florida. This is popularly known as the Lee Island coast. It is a water-oriented vacation paradise featuring some of the most beautiful beaches in the world and over 1 million acres of nature sanctuaries. This is virgin, unspoiled Florida. Numerous islands and keys dot the shoreline, two of the most popular being Sanibel and Captiva. Sanibel Island features one of the region's most important nature sanctuaries, the J.N. Ding Darling National Wildlife Refuge. Its 4,900 acres, edged with mangroves and shallow bays, offers refuge to many of the nation's endangered bird species. Thomas Edison built his winter home at Fort Myers in 1886 and spent nearly 50 years in his laboratory. He invented the electric light bulb here, along with countless other ingenious inventions that altered the lives of us all. Near the central Florida Gulf Coast lies one of Florida's most enjoyable multi-theme attractions, beautiful and unusual Weeki Wachee, an Indian name meaning Little Springs. On the Wilderness River Cruise, you will travel down the crystal clear Weeki Wachee River through what was once a prehistoric jungle. Today, you can enjoy its native wildlife and unspoiled beauty. At the Bird of Prey show, audiences are enthralled by the performances of these magnificent birds. In the underwater theater, mermaids perform daring feats and lovely underwater ballets. They will drink a Coke before your eyes and then amaze you with a dive 117 feet into the heart of the crystal-clear Weeki Wachee Spring. Winter Haven is the home of beautiful cypress gardens, for decades one of Central Florida's premier attractions. Towering cypress trees shelter some 8,000 varieties of exotic plants, and flowers bloom year-round at the world's most magnificent botanical garden. There's so much to see and do here, it's a full day's adventure. Cypress Gardens is located on the edge of charming Lake Eloise. Here is Kodak's 16-story high island in the sky. From its smoothly revolving platform, the changing landscape presents a breathtaking view as far as the eye can see. Cypress Gardens features a number of attractions and shows, many created especially for children. The Daily Ice Show often features some of the nation's top skaters and a dazzling display of skill and daring. Above all, Cypress Gardens is renowned as showcasing the largest collection of water sports athletes in the world. Words such as incredible, fantastic, unbelievable seem pale once you witness the spectacular performances of these athletic artists, from jumping champions to aquamaids. It has to be seen to be believed. Even then, you may doubt your eyes. There is no better way to end another day in exciting Florida than by enjoying a beautiful sunset over Cypress Gardens. In this land of countless lakes stands Bok Tower, one of Florida's best-known landmarks. This historic bell tower, constructed in 1929 by Edward Bok, houses one of the world's great carillons. The 53 bells range in size from 17 pounds to nearly 12 tons. It is located on the peninsula's highest point with an elevation of 295 feet. The surrounding 128-acre garden is a place of beauty and serenity. Another of Florida's ecological preserves is the 5,000-acre Lake Kissimmee State Park, bordered by Lakes Kissimmee, Tiger, and Rosalie. These lakes form the headwaters of the Florida Everglades. Over 13 miles of nature trails lead through a moss-covered forest. SeaWorld, the world's largest marine life park and America's leading marine show attraction. SeaWorld is located 12 miles southwest of the city of Orlando, the gateway to many of the nation's leading vacation spots. It's a 135-acre recreation paradise with the ocean as its theme. In the Whale and Dolphin Stadium, dolphins, whales, and humans perform in the same show for the first time anywhere. At Sharks, you will come face to face with these denizens of the deep. An underwater people mover permits guests to travel through a 4-inch thick acrylic tube. Shamu Stadium is a 5,200-seat facility that is the largest marine habitat in the world. It contains 6 million gallons of man-made saltwater. Here, Shamu and Can-Do, the killer whales, perform daily in SeaWorld's greatest attraction. At the Undersea Fantasy, set in a coral reef on the ocean floor, audiences see a choreographed combination of the real and the imaginary. At the 5,000-seat Atlantis Theater, the visitor can thrill at the performances of world champion water skiers. These amazing athletes perform both precision and acrobatic skiing, as well as comedy stunts to the delight of young and old. The $13 million penguin encounter is the largest exhibit of its kind in the world, and it serves as a living laboratory for protecting and preserving polar life. SeaWorld provides just about everything, especially for children. At the feeding pools, guests are able to experience close encounters with fascinating sea creatures. Our glimpse of SeaWorld ends with fun for everyone, a nightly fireworks extravaganza.
And ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of STS-7 and America's first woman astronaut. And the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Roger, roll, Johnson. Houston, now controlling mission control, confirmed roll maneuver starting.
She and mission specialists John Fabian and Norm Thagard deployed a pair of communication satellites.
East of Orlando on the Atlantic coast is the world's window to the universe, the Kennedy Space Center. Located within the 140,000-acre center is NASA's Spaceport USA, where millions of visitors experience firsthand the drama and excitement of America's space program. In the spectacular rocket gardens, the visitor finds a superb display of historic rockets and related space hardware. Children take particular delight in touching these towering monuments to our accomplishments in space. Upon entering Spaceport Central, the visitor finds many educational and exciting exhibits. In the Gallery of Space Flight, you can walk through the pages of space exploration history. The giant Saturn V, the largest rocket ever built by man. The Mercury capsule, our first manned spacecraft. The Gemini capsule, America's first two-man space vehicle. An Apollo spacecraft and the Russian Soyuz spacecraft, which joined together to declare the peaceful use of space for all time. Skylab, America's orbiting laboratory in which astronauts performed countless experiments in space. The remarkable lunar rover that roamed the hills and valleys of the moon. And the many unmanned spacecraft that roamed the far reaches of our solar system and beyond. The beautiful Galaxy Center building stands on the edge of one of Kennedy's many waterways and bayous. There are several important theaters and exhibits within, including the Galaxy Theater and the very popular IMAX Theater, where you will watch a breathtaking presentation of a shuttle flight. This is the same access arm that the Apollo 11 crew used to board their spacecraft to the moon. Aboard a modern Skyliner bus, visitors are transported to the heart of the giant spaceport. Here at the Flight Crew Training Building, they will see where earlier astronauts trained for their moon landing. From land or sea, it is hard not to see one of the world's most awesome structures, the gigantic VAB building. Here, the mammoth Saturn V was prepared, and today the space shuttle and its components are mated and prepared for flight. This is an actual Saturn V, the largest and most powerful rocket ever built. It launched our Apollo spaceships and crews to the moon. The huge bicentennial symbol and American flag were painted on the building in 1976. Both the shuttle and the Saturn V have been transported from the VAB to their launch pads by the enormous crawler transporter. This awesome machine can carry 12 million pounds, travels at 1 mile per hour, and requires a crew of 26 to operate it. It is a lucky visitor indeed who's fortunate enough to be present during a shuttle liftoff.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
The Kennedy Spaceport was dedicated long ago to the betterment of mankind. Perhaps the cherished goal of peace among all nations can be attained as man reaches for the stars. Florida has more springs than any other place on Earth, and the largest of these is Silver Springs near Ocala. A ride on one of Silver Springs' famous glass-bottom boats is the best way to see the underwater beauty that is here. The fish are so tame that they will eat right out of your hand. The huge artesian spring here pours forth up to 1 billion gallons of crystal clear water every day. Silver Springs is a surprising wonderland of water, full of things to see and do. But it is much more than just a theme park. It is also a gentle wilderness and a sanctuary where wildlife and endangered species can find a haven. The Jungle Cruise transports visitors to strange and faraway lands. You will see countless species of animals from every continent. They range from zebras and giraffes to raccoons and monkeys. It is remarkable indeed that these birds and animals from all parts of the world have adapted so well to their new home and live in complete harmony with each other. Perhaps there's a small lesson here for man. In addition to the cruises, there are 3 reptile shows and the Deer Park Petting Zoo to visit. At the Antique Car Collection, you will see many fascinating vehicles, antique carriages, player pianos, and jukeboxes, an amazing exhibit. In these rivers of Central Florida lives one of nature's strangest creatures, the friendly manatee. This immense mammal reaches lengths of over 15 feet with weight close to a ton. They are known as sea cows because they graze the shallow rivers and bays like cattle graze the meadows and pasture lands. Florida is mostly a land of tropical forests laced with rivers, lakes, and waterways. Among the most beautiful is the famous Swanee River. The famous white sands of Daytona Beach blends into countless beaches and seashores as the visitor travels northward along the Atlantic coastal strip. St. Augustine is entered from the south by crossing Ponce de Leon's Bridge of the Lions. It is the oldest city in the United States. Established in 1565 by Spain, it went on to become a very strategic settlement. After pirate raids and English excursions into the area, Spain decided to build a great fort near the harbor entrance. Construction was begun in 1672, and upon completion in 1695, it was named Castillo de San Marcos. This mighty fortress, which has survived intact down through the centuries, has walls up to 20 feet thick. It has withstood a number of sieges successfully, including the attempt by the English to seize it in 1702. During this battle, the town itself was destroyed, but the fort remained intact, with 1,300 townspeople and 400 soldiers safely inside. It stands today as a national monument to America's turbulent and storied past. 14 miles south of St. Augustine, the Spaniards built a small watchtower to better guard the approaches to the city. It was completed in 1742 and named Fort Matanzas. To prevent the destruction of the city again, the Spaniards ringed the city with a wall. This is the original gate built in 1704. The city has undertaken the task of restoring the old city to an authentic likeness of the colonial period. Much of it is now complete. St. George Street is the heart of the restoration. Over 50 houses or craft shops have been restored or reconstructed. The old wooden schoolhouse is one of the nation's oldest. It is constructed of cypress and cedar. The furnishings and other details carry the colonial school theme. The regal Ponce de Leon Hotel was built in the 1880s by Henry Flagler. The Leitner Museum was formerly the Alcazar Hotel, built in 1888, also by Henry Flagler. Today, its museum will take you back in time to the gay 90s. Multi-millionaire Henry Morrison Flagler was Florida's empire builder during the early part of the 20th century. Many of the great buildings here are his handiwork. He is responsible for St. Augustine's new way of life as a major tourist center. Later, he brought about the same changes in Miami. The Ponce de Leon Hotel is now Flagler College. The original hotel will probably never again be equaled for pure resplendence and ornateness. It is a recreation of Spanish Renaissance architecture. The oldest Spanish house in the U.S. sits on a site occupied since the early 1600s. This house dates from the early 1700s. The interior tells the story of a long and colorful past as the house went from Spanish owners to English and finally American. It is indeed a mosaic of American history. There are many fine old churches in St. Augustine. The Flagler Memorial Presbyterian Church stands in memory of the daughter of Henry Flagler. The remains of both him and his daughter are in the attached mausoleum. There is no better way to see St. Augustine than by taking a tour by carriage or tour tram. There are many of both throughout the city. Robert L. Ripley traveled to more than 198 countries to gather the extraordinary exhibits that are now on display at the Believe It or Not Museum. P.T. Barnum made a fortune by claiming that this was a real Fiji mermaid. At this table with Ripley are figures of some of his most unusual people. Tom Thumb, the world's smallest at 40 inches. The world's heaviest at 1,069 pounds. The Bearded Lady, the world's tallest at 8 feet 11 inches. And the man with a hole in his head where he carried a lighted candle. The old lighthouse seems to stand as a sentinel, guarding the harbor and ocean approaches to this, America's oldest city. Florida's Alligator Farm is one of the world's most outstanding reptile farms. Established in 1893, it is one of Florida's prime attractions. Here, you and the family can learn what alligators and reptiles are all about. The newly hatched gator is about 10 inches long, but can rarely grow to a length of up to 19 feet. The Alligator Farm has 3 exciting shows. This one is known as Snappin' Sam, for obvious reasons. Elevated nature walks enable you to walk directly above a lagoon filled with alligators and observe them close up. Alligator wrestling is an exciting event at the Alligator Farm. The audiences think so too. We don't suggest that any of you try this. The alligator is a very powerful creature and must be treated with respect. However, contrary to popular belief, unprovoked attacks on people are rare unless they're cornered or protecting their young. This is one little critter, though, that can be handled without fear. At the reptile show, you will see all the snakes that you will ever care to see. The expressions on these children's faces seem to indicate fun and some doubt. There must be an easier way to pop a balloon. Exploring the Alligator Farm is indeed an exciting, fun-filled adventure. Marineland of Florida lies just to the south of St. Augustine. It is the world's original marine attraction and features Marineland's famed performing porpoises executing acrobatic and comedy routines to the delight of everyone. Marineland Sea Lion Show, the visitors are entertained by these clowning sea lions. In Marineland's Oceanarium, you can watch sharks and a wide array of sea creatures being fed by divers. Marineland also features an exciting new Aquarius Theater, where a multi-dimensional film of breathtaking underwater scenes is shown. Westward across Florida lie the powdery white sand beaches and clear Gulf waters of Florida's North Gulf Coast, stretching from Pensacola to Panama City. This 100-mile strip has become one of Florida's newest tourist centers. Here on St. George Island are extensive primitive beaches and dunes. Since 1698, there have been a succession of forts here on Santa Rosa Island across the bay from Pensacola. The present Fort Pickens was constructed in 1829. It was one of 4 forts in the South to remain under Union control throughout the Civil War. The fort is part of Gulf Island's National Seashore and is administered by the National Park Service. Its rugged fortifications were built by contracted slaves who used 21.5 million bricks in its construction. Its ramparts came under fire just twice, both during the Civil War. Geronimo and Naiche, son of Cochise, were imprisoned here for 2 years along with 48 other Apaches. Visitors today look back at those distant times with nostalgia. The barrier islands along this beautiful coast are becoming known to many vacationers and tourists. As a result, their popularity continues to grow as more and more discover that these are special places. Perhaps Florida's most underrated attraction is Wakulla Springs, located south of Tallahassee, the state capital. It is now a Florida state park. Many consider it to be one of the world's great natural attractions. Set in an exceptionally beautiful cypress forest and at the heart of a 4,000-acre wildlife sanctuary, it is teeming with native wildlife. A jungle boat will take you well into this verdant forest with its myriad of creatures. But Wakulla's greatest attraction is the enormous Wakulla Springs. It may well be the world's deepest. Having been explored to a depth of 250 feet, its phenomenal discharge averages 252 million gallons a day. The glass-bottom boat cruise is one to remember. Through the glass bottom, the visitor watches a wide assortment of underwater life in the crystal-clear waters. At one point, ancient mastodon bones are plainly visible. Outside of the passage of boats, this primeval forest continues today as the Indians found it. Hernando de Soto wintered near here in the 16th century. Today, Tallahassee flies the flag of the United States of America. There is no place on this earth quite like Florida. Its historic, colorful past is an important chapter in American history. It began with Ponce de Leon in 1513. It continued with Spain, France, and England occupying this verdant peninsula for centuries. It continues today as a part of the United States. An immensely rich land, rich in boundless treasures of nature and man. A precious legacy for all Americans. A truly priceless legacy for our future generations. Florida is indeed incredible.